Okay, perfect. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, perfect. Yay. Welcome. So my name is Sima Gandhi, and I'm going to be the coordinator this year. I wanted to have this meeting with all of you to basically answer any questions that you may have. We had the incoming sixth grade meeting this morning, and then I had the middle school A through M meeting, and then now I have the N through Z meeting. So I'm gonna just go over some basic questions that I received that I think all of you will probably either be curious about or eventually ask. And so some of the questions that we received were about the schedule and hybrid, and then also Chromebooks and the dates for that. And so I'll go over all of that information right now. I do want to note that if you have any questions, please do ask them in the chat box, and so I can answer them as well. And so I'm just going to go through the questions and just answer them. So as you as you hear me and you hear questions or concerns or any clarifications that you need, please do not hesitate to ask. The other two meetings that we had were really successful because parents were asking questions and I was able to answer them. So it worked really well. So I think that this format will work well for us as well. The meeting is being recorded for those of you who are just joining. And so if you have any personal questions related just to your child, please don't ask those in this meeting environment. We do have quite a few members here right now. And so due to confidentiality, I think it's best if you email me if you have any personal questions. And also this video will be posted on our school YouTube page. So I think it's just best that if you have any personal one-on-one questions that you have, just email me. So just some, basic information for those of you who just joined. The meeting is being recorded. It will be posted on the YouTube page. And if you have any personal questions, please hang tight and just go ahead and just email me those questions because it will be public after this for our NCS families. All right, so just some basic information. We are starting the school year on distance learning. We are hearing that we will be in the hybrid environment mid to late September. So we're looking at about a month of distance learning, and then after that, we might be switching over to hybrid, which is positive news from a school standpoint because we want to see our students and we're ready to see them, but it's also, I'm sure, concerning for our families who may opt to stay on distance learning. So just some information that we received as of this morning. That's the latest information that I have, that we're looking at distance learning all through August. We're looking at hybrid mid-September, right after Labor Day-ish. Probably maybe going into the end of September, but by October, from what we're hearing, we should be in this hybrid format. So with that being said, schedule pickups will be on the 11th. It will be between 11:30 and 2:30. And so I don't have the exact times available just yet because we are also going to be navigating with our sixth grade families and our eighth grade families as well. Some of our eighth grade students are in web, and so they will be getting out of the sixth grade orientation at 11:30 because the web orientation is from 9 to 11:30. And so seventh grade will probably come first to pick up their schedules, their Chromebooks, their kits if they're taking any visual arts courses, their textbooks if teachers are checking out any novels and so forth, and then also possibly some instruments as well. There are some classes where the music teachers are waiting until the school year starts before they give out the instruments, because if you're taking a beginning course, you don't know what instrument you want to learn to play just yet. So once the teacher kind of talks them through, shows them all the instruments, they will have a separate pickup date for instruments as well for some of the beginning courses. Some of the other questions that we've had is about back to school night. Yes, we are going to have back to school night. Back to school night will be a few days after school starts to give our families some chance to adjust to distance learning. And then back to school night will be in the virtual environment. And so more information on that will be released as well on the 7th. School supplies will also be sent home on the 7th in our weekly updates. And these are just suggested supplies, and they aren't required, but they're recommended. And then some other questions that we had was about Chromebooks. If it's for every student, or do you have to sign up for it? We have ordered Chromebooks for all students, so everybody will be checking out a Chromebook, and the Chromebooks will be checked out on the 11th. And we also had some questions about schedule changes. If you would like, when you get your schedule on the 11th, immediately in your student's email, you will also have an email about, schedule request changes as well. And so what you will do for that is you will fill out the form if you don't want to take a particular course, or if you want to change your course that you're taking, or your arts elective. You will fill it out, and then Mr. Malay or Ms. Shank Tiffany, and then I'm going to be helping them as well, will either call you or send you an email once the schedule change is done. If you cannot pick up your schedule on the 11th at your time, we will be able to make accommodations with you. We can email the schedules out possibly as well, or we can set up a different date and time as well for you to pick it up. On the 12th, it is the first day of school, but it's a Wednesday. And so according to our distance model and our hybrid model, Wednesday is an independent at-home work day. But it's the first day of school, so we don't want that. We want the students to meet their teachers, and so we will be doing a meet and greet online type of format, and so where the students will get to meet all of the period teachers, and so that schedule will be sent as well on the 7th as well. So lots of information is coming out on the 7th, and the reasoning that it's coming out on the 7th and not any other day is because our teachers actually don't return to work until August 6th. So I have all the plans ready, but I need to obviously share it with them and get feedback from them as well before we share it out on the 7th. So on the 7th, you should expect a pretty long email with all the schedules and all the information. So that was pretty much the bulk of our conversation for some of the prior meetings. And so I'm going to go through the chat box now. It looks like there's a lot of questions on there, so I'll just start answering those questions. And for those of you that I just admitted right now, please understand that this meeting is being recorded and it will be posted on our school YouTube page. So please don't ask any personal questions related to your child. Please email me privately so that we can maintain confidentiality for your child and for yourself as well. Okay, so let's get started. Oops. Okay, so one of the questions that we have is, what kind of programs will the school be providing to the students in terms of emotional development for this change, for the changes implied in distance learning? That's a great question. So we will have advisory every Wednesday, and during advisory, we will have a check-in time and also a checkout time. And during that time, our student services will be popping into all of the advisory classes and doing social emotional support. Then they will be doing team building activities with them as well. And then we will also have one-on-one services for our students who may need that as well. In addition to that, we are also going to have our counselors have virtual office hours as well, where they'll be able to provide some group sessions, because our students right now really need that time with their peers. And so we'll be providing that as well. What is the driving decision to return in hybrid schedule in mid-September? So the Sacramento Public Health is what drives our decisions. We follow the guidelines, and based off of the guidelines, we make decisions off of that, in conjunction with obviously our parents and our staff and our students as well. So once we receive the guidelines from Sacramento County Public Health officials, we will then be reaching out to our families and also getting feedback from them on what their thoughts are as well. Let's see. Next question is, what is the rationale for hybrid in the middle of the trimester instead of waiting to switch to hybrid between trimesters? So I want to make it clear that we have not made a decision on when we're switching to hybrid. We will receive guidance from the Sacramento County Public Health officials, and then from there we will make a decision. We would never switch to hybrid in the middle of the week or middle of the semester. If it comes back that we can go to hybrid, let's say in 14 days. Well, if the end of the quarter is going to occur, then it doesn't make sense to make that switch at that time. We would make the switch once the new quarter begins. So yeah, so we definitely would not just make a decision saying, okay, we're going to come back to school tomorrow. It's going to be a strategic plan with the way that we roll it out. In the spring, one of the most challenging things in trying to help my student was the firewall. I couldn't always link to review assignments so I could understand them. Can links for items such as rubrics or math assignments be PDFs so parents can access more easily? Yes, absolutely. So the students this year, so what we encountered in the spring was crisis teaching. This is not crisis teaching at this point anymore. So the students will be weekly receiving an intro letter for each of their classes that basically tells them what they're going to be doing each week, along with all of the calendar invites for all of the Google Meets, so that students know when they need to log on. And those Google Meets will also send them reminders as well, so that they need to log on to their Google Meet. Not only that, our entire middle school team will be following the same format for when to turn in assignments, when assignments are due, and also when assignments are posted as well. So all assignments will be posted on Sunday, and they will always be due on the Friday of that week, and grades will always be updated by the following Wednesday, because especially during this time, I think families need that consistency and that consistency on progress monitoring, and so that they can follow up on their end as well. I thought we were waiting to make changes. Why would it change? So I think I just answered that question. So we're not switching to hybrid anytime soon. We are starting with distance learning. We're going to get accustomed to distance learning. But once we receive guidelines from the Sacramento Public Health saying we can switch to hybrid, we will then make an informed decision and plan about the best way to make that process go through. But we are not switching to hybrid anytime soon. Currently, we're just hearing that from the feedback that we have received from Sacramento that we could possibly go back mid-September to late September. And this is all possibility. We don't know anything for sure yet. Do we pick up a Chromebook even if we already have a personal one at home? So I would suggest that each student picks up a Chromebook, but it is entirely up to you and your family. And the reason that I say that is because the Chromebooks that are issued by the school may have some of the features that the teachers are using, so it might just be easier for you. And if there's tech issues, you will have access to our tech representatives, so that you can get tech support as well, versus if it's a personal Chromebook, you may not necessarily get that help. But obviously we completely support any family's decision on if you want to use your own. You are welcome to do that as well. If we decide to use our own Chromebook, would you still have access to use the apps that are needed for class? Yes, you will. The only true things that you will need is Google Meet, the Google Meet links, and then Chromebook. You'll need Chromebook as well. Not Chromebook, I'm sorry. You'll need Chrome on there as well, so that you can access the Schoology links and the Google Meets as well. Some of our teachers also use Pear Deck and other forms of demonstrations. And so for that, you may need to add those extensions to your Chromebooks or laptop if you have a laptop. Next question. I heard you mention on Thursday evening that teachers will have office hours. Are these only for students, or can parents join in to better understand to help them at home? These are for students and for parents and families. Yes, absolutely. Because if you're supporting your student at home, you have to know what's going on in the classroom. You have to be able to understand what they're learning too. So I definitely, if you have the flexibility in your schedule to be able to join, I definitely suggest that you join with them. However, it is not a requirement that you join. It is entirely up to what's best for you and your family. But if you have the flexibility, absolutely. And oh yeah, and the office hours during distance learning will be every day. We're still trying to receive guidance on the Wednesdays, so we don't know for sure about Wednesdays, but Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, office hours will be from 3 to 4. When we switch to hybrid, whenever that is, office hours will be also every day from 3 to 4 as well. So we have office hours every day. And then I had a person ask me privately, will the parents get that email as well? Can you clarify which email you're talking about? When you get a chance in the chat box, you can send it privately to me again, so I know how to answer that question, please. And then the next question is, will the school be providing textbooks so children and parents have resources to follow? Yes. If a class has a particular textbook or a novel that the students will be reading, when you come to pick up your schedules, supplies, and all of that, you will also be following through a checkout station where you will be checking out your books as well. So if you were on campus returning your textbooks back in June, it's going to be a similar format where it's one way in and one way out, where you enter campus, pick up your schedule, pick up your Chromebooks, pick up your textbooks. If you're in a visual arts class, pick up your art kits. If you're in a music class, pick up your instruments, and then and so you will go through this circular path and exit out through the gym side. Have all teachers committed to returning to campus when the schedule shifts to hybrid? So our default work environment will be on campus, yes. Once hybrid begins, what steps will you be taking to ensure children are healthy? Will the school take temperatures, ask questions to get in, or will this be an honor system? What will you do if children are sick, including parents saying their kids have a cold/allergies? Will they go home too. So all of these questions are answered in the guidebook that was sent on Thursday evening after our parent meeting, but I can summarize some of it for you, but I encourage you to read our guidebook. All of these questions are answered in there. But in summary, we will be doing screeners, and that's part of the reason why we needed to also do a staggered start, because we also have leading edge on this campus as well. And so we needed to stagger our start time so that our students are not so that we don't have crowding on campus with all of our students. So that's part of the reason that we're also starting at 9. Students will be allowed on campus between 8:45 and 9. And so that allows us time to screen our students. So we will be doing a screening of the students. For bathrooms, we will not allow crowds of students to go to the bathroom. It'll be one at a time type of thing. Custodians will be cleaning bathrooms after each period as well. And then on Wednesdays, we will be doing our deep cleaning as well. And then also during lunch, during the hybrid environment, obviously there'll be less students. So naturally, if there's less students, they're easier. They're able to physically distance much easier. And so we will have all hands on deck during lunch and breaks as well, where all staff members will be out, ensuring that students are physically distancing from each other as well. Will you talk about PE, please? So PE will be, so students will still take PE. PE will be with Mr. Farwig. So Mr. Farwig will be doing live workouts. He will also be doing asynchronous journaling, nutrition things, where he will be asking students to keep track of their nutrition. They will also be going ahead and keeping logs of what they do every day as well as part of their grade for journaling. That will be in the distance environment. When we switch to hybrid, we will not be able to allow students into the locker room at this time based on the guidelines that we have. So students will not be dressing out, but on their PE days, they will be expected to wear appropriate tennis shoes so that they are still able to physically distance and do the workouts and engage in physical activity. But they will not be dressing out at this time based on the information that we have. Our lockers will need to stay closed. Can you describe a bit so 8th grade portfolio, that's a great question. So the 8th grade teachers during back to school night will be describing what the portfolios will look like for this year. Obviously, they're going to need to look a little bit different based off of where we are in the year. And we're going to need to, as a community, be flexible about that. And so they will be providing more information on what the portfolio will be during back to school night. And then the next question we have is, I'm concerned about internet connection. I've noticed that when a lot of neighbors are on at the same time, it really slows down connectivity. So that was a question that came up in and a concern as well that came up in the other meeting. So our tech are definitely working on ways that we can, when our students are on campus, that they're able to engage with each other and not use as much of the Chromebooks. And then at home, in terms of connectivity, our teachers are developing a plan, because one of the questions that we had was, well, if I get kicked out, how does my teacher know? Especially if I'm on distance learning. And so the teachers will be sharing on back to school night what the process will be if you log off. The reality of it is that if you get disconnected, there's nothing anybody can do in terms of, the student cannot contact the teacher. There's no internet. How are they going to contact the teacher? So the expectation will be that the student will reach out to the teacher whenever they can, as soon as they get connectivity again. And so in terms of, you know, our school and what we're doing, our tech, we are going to be running some staff meetings on August 6th and checking our connectivity, if our teachers and administrators and everybody can be on at the same time using the school bandwidth. And so we'll be following up with that to see how, if it works, and if it does, then I think our connectivity will be fine. But if it doesn't, then that's something that we have to definitely look at and explore. So we are aware, and so we are working on that as well. Any other questions? There were so many more questions in the last meeting. Any concerns that you have that you would like me to be aware of so I can? So will teachers share their cell phone numbers so students' families can inform them if there are connection issues at home? Fortunately, no. That's not, our teachers do not share their cell phone numbers. Some teachers may choose to, share, but that is not an expectation that we have. I know for me personally, I have shared, when we were in crisis teaching, I shared my number with some families because that was the only way that we could have meetings. And so that's, typically speaking, we don't do that though. Some teachers may choose to do that though. Will teachers be recording their classes so students can use them as references? So currently, based on the guidelines that we have right now, we cannot record instruction because students are in the classroom. So teachers will be doing pre-recorded lessons, but live instruction that is occurring will not be recorded at this time, and because that's due to privacy concerns, because there are students in the classroom. So teachers will have pre-recorded lessons, and they will also not be able to record live instruction that occurs in the classroom. Will parents be sent the email that the students will receive on Sunday? Are you referring to the email about? Are you referring to the email about the picking up schedules? Oh, yes, absolutely. Parents and students will both receive that email. Yes. So the same email will go to the students as it does to the parents. We are worried that we are only a small percentage of parents connected to this meeting in terms of health, safety. So I want to make it clear that I had multiple meetings. So I had a 6th grade incoming meeting earlier today, which had about 45 parents, and then we had a A through M meeting before this from 12. I can't even remember the time. I think it was from 11 to 1, and then now this one. So parents are choosing which meetings that they want to go to. And and we've also done focus groups as well, where we've reached out to families via email and done some smaller sessions as well. We've also reached out to students as well and done smaller focus meetings as well. And these times are not conducive to all families, unfortunately, which is why, because everybody works at different hours of the day. And so, like my husband, for an example, he works night shift. So a morning meeting like this would not work for him. And so that is why we are recording the meetings, and we're going to try to diversify the meeting times so that more families get a chance to join at different times. Will there be some kind of daycare for middle schoolers when school is in hybrid schedule? So that is what we're trying to work on. We are trying to work to develop a plan for the landing, which would be the after school program, similar to if you were at Star Base. We're still working on that. We don't have any definitive plans just yet on that, but we are developing a plan for that. But we will have to cap it. And so we will have to give priority to essential workers and staff. And so just keep that in mind as we move forward. Is there a separate meeting for web leaders when they're supposed to meet? So Ms. Hepner will be contacting all web leaders about when to meet and when their training is. Yes, I also heard some really good feedback about the summer landing program as well. So we're hoping to keep it running during the hybrid environment as well. We just have to see how things fluctuate as the year progresses. And then if I missed the 6th grade meeting this morning, can we get the info somewhere? Yes, that meeting was also recorded. I will be sending all of the recordings for all of the meetings on Friday because we have various meetings throughout the week. And so I wanted to send them all at once. And they'll be posted on our YouTube page. Will the middle school trip to Washington, D.C. still be happening? When will we hear more info options about this? Great question. So the Washington, D.C. trip is actually not a school-sponsored field trip. We do have teachers, Ms. Green, who go with the students, but it is not sponsored through the school. So I definitely encourage you to reach out to Ms. Green so you can get more information about that. And we will also have more information about the Washington, D.C. trip as well at back to school night as well. What will the schedule be for Wednesdays? So let me see if I can share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to Can someone give me a thumbs up if you can see the Wednesday schedule? Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is what the Wednesday schedule will look like. Please keep in mind that when you come and pick up your schedule, you will get a copy of the Bell schedule, and you will also get a copy of your child's schedule, obviously. And then this will also be posted on our PFAA webpage as well. It's a draft, and so that's why we haven't printed them and posted them just yet. But all of this information will be provided on the 11th when you come and pick up your schedules. So the Wednesday schedule looks as follows. So from 9 to 9:30, students should be working on period 1 independent work time. And then there's a mandatory advisory check-in for all students from 9:30 to 9:50. And then it's period 2 independent work time. Then it's a break. And these students will have work to do on these days. This is not a free-for-all. They will actually have assignments that they have to do for their classes as well. And then from 2:10 to 3 o'clock, we will have an advisory checkout. So this is when all of our SEL supports, when our student services, our team building, and group conversations will occur during this time. The check-in is more for the teachers being provided an opportunity to connect with each of the students and ask them, so what are you working on today? What are some of the assignments that you have to work on today? So that it provides that student and that teacher to connect, and it also allows us to check in with the student to see if they're okay or if there's any concerns, if we need to maybe reach out and maybe have student services do a session with them earlier than the planned day or time. And so at 2:10, this is when all students will have an opportunity to either connect with each other for or with the counseling. This will be also an opportunity for us to do some career conversations and job opportunities, and also student services from our academic counselor standpoint will be coming into these classrooms to work with the students on career advising, resume building, cover letter writing as well. So it's a really it's a wonderful opportunity to check in with their advisory teacher, but also it's not just a free for all. It is structured time with the teacher and also other staff members on campus. And then I know, Wendy, are you still on, or?
I am. Give me just a second. Let me mute Dr. Wood. Hi, can you hear me and see me? Are you able to hear and see? Awesome. I apologize. I'm actually on. I'm actually on a call with a bunch of the parent leaders from all the different academies and Dr. Wood right now. So I've been listening in on both. But it's good to see everybody's faces and so many familiar faces. For those of you that don't remember, P4A is Parents for the Arts. It is our version of the PTA or parent support group. It was established many, many years ago by parents as a way to primarily fundraise to support for the art programs. We are our own separate 501c3. We are independent from the school, although you don't always get that because we work so closely with the school. For those of you that were around last year and the year before, you know that a lot of the focus of PFAA has been in and around fundraising. One of our biggest fundraisers of the year is the crab feed. The crab feed was scheduled for March 12th. This past school year, and we went on shelter in place on March 11th. So the crab feed did not happen, and we are still trying to reconcile everything from that, both losses and refunds and donations and all of that kind of stuff. But with that said, we haven't officially voted as a board yet, but I will be, when we do have our next official board meeting, I will be making a motion to not move forward with crab feed for this year because I don't want us to go through all of that planning and then not be able to have an event come March if we're still in the same social situation that we're in. So how you can be of help. We have been working over the summer, a lot of us leaders, to try to figure out how we pivot from a fundraising classroom support type organization to an organization that really is going to be a conduit of parent communication and bringing parents together. So we will still have the same sort of format on our leadership team. We have our executive committee, which are the officers that essentially are responsible for the duties with the 501c3. And there are openings on the executive committee. We also have operating committees, so fundraising committee. We will have some events that are happening. We will have communications, parent nights, just various different operating committees that folks can volunteer and help put stuff together. We will have our boosters still. Our boosters are the parents' support for the particular art programs. So we have drama, we have vocal, we have are instrumental. We have visual arts, we have dance, and our departments are going to need, our art departments are going to need our assistance even more this year, because we will still be doing performances. Some will be live, but they're not going to be live the way that we have had them in the past, and a lot will be virtual. So the department heads and the teachers are going to need a lot of support from us and from the boosters in order to help make these experiences happen for our kids. And then finally, and what I think is going to be one of the most important is grade specific support. So in the past, we've had 1 or 2 parent reps that have communicated with the classes about class specific things like, prom, graduation, dance, silent auction baskets, those types of things. We're going to be looking for a group of parents that are really going to help to provide like grade specific programming and support based on their youth's grade. Like, for example, my kid's going into 8th grade. She asked me, does this mean that you're going to be my portfolio advisor? And I'm like, portfolio, what is that? Now, Seema's given us a nice brief, explanation of it, but it would be really nice to be able to have a Zoom group of 8th grade parents that we could log into and ask, well, how can we really do this? What are you doing? Those types of things. There's going to be a lot of questions that are coming, and I think that that it's nice for us to be able to talk and meet and discuss as parents. And I'm hoping that P4A will be able to be that for us and be that additional conduit this year. So you'll get a lot of information from us throughout the year. We'll still do our weekly our weekly little emails that will attach to Dr. Gandhi's weekly updates. We do have a website that is in dire need of updating. So if any of you are website savvy and want to donate a little bit of time, that would be amazing. We have a Facebook group. Those are all places where we can disperse information. If you want to get a hold of me directly before school starts, my email address is P and then the number 4A president@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to hook you into the leadership team as we are planning these last, what are we, 16 or 17 days out now from the first day of school? It's coming pretty close. So thank you all. It's good to see you, and I hope that we'll be able to see each other in person soon.
So thank you. So another question that I just saw that I had was, I may have missed this answer, but what will be the school hours be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday? So on Wednesday, there will be no Wednesday Zoom meeting besides the advisory check-in and check-out. So great question. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, students will be in school from 9 to 3 with office hours from 3 to 4. And during distance learning time and during hybrid time, the office hours will be virtual from 3 to 4. So if during hybrid time, the office hours from 3 to 4 will be dedicated for the students who are at home. So if you're in cohort A and you're in class, then you will use class time to make sure you get your questions answered. And then at the end of the day, teachers will have office hours for the students who are at home learning and or on distance learning for the remainder of the year. And then during distance learning time, office hours will be from 3 to 4 every day. Wednesdays will be no web Zoom meetings besides the advisory check-in and check-out. Correct. That is correct. How do we know which cohorts our kids are in? So we have not actually determined that yet. We will be sending out a form for everybody to fill out when that time comes. We felt like we wanted to first get accustomed to distance learning, get our feet wet, get the students situated, make sure that the students are settled. And then when the time comes, we would then send a form out. I know that Westlake and a few other schools have already sent the form out, but recognize that they're already moving things around even from that internally as well. And so, so we will be sending it out when the time comes. We're just not there yet. Any other questions that I can address? Well, if you don't have any other questions, you are welcome to log off. I will stay on until the end. Thank you for attending. If you have any specific questions about your child that you would like to email me, please do email me. I'm available. I'm pretty responsive and pretty quick, especially right now, to help support you. So the students are in school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday online, correct? And then they are learning independently on Wednesdays, with the exception of the advisory check-in in the morning and the advisory check-out in the afternoon. And so then on August 11th, when you come to pick up your schedules and your Chromebooks and all your supplies, you will also get a schedule at that time. And then you will also get the schedule online as well on our PFAA website. And thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. Will an exception be made for students who have breathing problems and are unable to wear masks all day once hybrid? Yes, there will be exceptions being made. We will have face shields available for the students as well. We actually just ordered them and they just arrived. So we're ready for that as well. Yes. When is the first day? The first day is actually the 12th. Which is a Wednesday. And so a new schedule for that will be provided for the 12th, because the 12th, which is a Wednesday, is typically an at-home learning independent day, but we don't want that. We obviously want to be able to see our students. And so we're going to make a new schedule just for the first day of school so that we can do a meet and greet for the students and the teachers. Will everyone get face shields? Our normal procedure will be face masks. And then for certain situations where a student needs a face shield, we will provide it. So all students will receive a face mask, and then if they need an additional accommodation, we will provide that as well. Is there a determined time for them to start the hybrid schooling? No, unfortunately, your crystal ball is as good as mine. That's a famous thing that Dr. Wood has been saying lately a lot. We don't know. Unfortunately, we just don't know. We're hearing from Sacramento that we should be off the monitoring list in mid-September. So we should theoretically be on hybrid by mid-September, maybe end of September, early October. But we're not sure. So that's a great question. If masks will be required in PE, dance, acting classes. And I don't know the answer to that question yet. I'm going to need to consult with the safety committee and Sacramento Health. I'm not sure, and so that's actually a great question. I thought I knew the answers to all the questions, but I don't. So I don't know the answer to that question. So I will look into it and then provide information about that at our next. I plan to have another meeting like this either right before the school year starts or right afterwards with the teachers in that process as well. So I will find out and then I'll let you know. Is there a determined type of schedule for hybrid that will be created whenever they have that option? Is there a determined type of schedule for hybrid that will be created whenever they have that option? So I'm not sure I understand the question. Is there a determined type of schedule? So are you asking me if they will have a different schedule during hybrid? So the schedule during hybrid will be the cohort model. And so 2 days on campus, 1 day at home, individual learning, and then 2 days off campus. So everybody will have that same schedule. Okay, so it seems like I answered your question. Nope, no, you don't need to say sorry. I appreciate the questions because it allows me to provide clarity. So no problem. Will families be able to choose distance learning without transitioning to the homeschool program? Yes, absolutely. There will be certain number of families who will choose to stay on distance learning even after we switch to hybrid due to self-quarantine, personal choice, safety reasons, for varying reasons, and we will definitely have that option available for all students. You will not need to switch to the homeschool program. And there might be also certain situations where students need to self-quarantine for the next 14 days because they've been exposed to COVID-19. And so we definitely will have that available for all students. And that's why that live synchronous instruction will be really important, so that it doesn't matter if you're at school or at home, you are getting the same material as everybody else in your class. Any other questions? I think that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. If you have any other questions, you are welcome to email me as well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.